My name is Barbara Driver, and having spent over 25 years in K-12 public education, most of which was in special education, when I think of how we support and build the capacity of schools to meet educational needs of all students, I naturally lean toward thinking about students with disabilities. When grappling with this issue, I still use some tried and true resources when thinking about this problem of practice, such as the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Special Ed and Rehabilitative Services, national organizations like Council for Exceptional Children, and some other sources that may not be specific to special education but consider it in the larger context, such as the Institute for Educational Leadership. And they all provide us with great directions and promising practices. Well, when thinking about solving this issue, I believe we have a pretty good handle on knowing the approach we need to take to a solution has to be a multidimensional one. For example, leaders have to take on multiple roles. For example, they need to be a visionary leader. They have to be a systemic thinker and be considerate of making community connections. And these are all worthy of our attention. I think that in leading for success in the midst of managing all of these things, you can't lose sight of the idea that you are leading people and not projects or initiatives. Capacity building is really about people building. Utilizing what exists in people and keeping the work people-centered is as important as any other strategy. And maybe more so, given that we often consider this as a soft skill, secondary to hard skills that supposedly hold more value, like hiring staff. There's really nothing soft about effective collaboration and interacting in meaningful ways to address important work like meeting educational needs of all students. The power of the conversations we have with each other is not a dynamic to be ignored. Not giving equal weight to the value of keeping the work people-centered will lead to all those well-intentioned plans for meeting student learning needs falling short. A book that sheds light on the power of conversation is one by Margaret J. Wheatley called Turning to One Another: Simple Conversations to Restore Hope to the Future. In this book, she provides a fresh way of looking at leadership and conversation, and how we can turn to each other and together become what she describes as fearless in our attempts to solve issues. Recognizing the value of our human resources and talking with each other and really listening to each other is how we find the nexus where people and ideas come together. That's where we begin to build organizational capacity for shaping and advocating for what we care about. And that's a great way to grow our capacity to best meet the educational needs of all students, including those with disabilities.